Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to unpack a masterclass in meaning, all drawn from Dr. Bill Mounce's amazing lecture on the Sermon on the Mount. We'll see how these ancient words can seriously challenge our modern world, from surprising debates about translation to a pretty radical call for a deeper kind of honesty.
So we're going to start with a really surprising puzzle. It's hidden in a single word that, believe it or not, changes an entire story. A lot of us have this picture of King Eglon as the fat king, right? But what if that whole image is just plain wrong?
Well, it turns out the original Hebrew word used to describe King Eglon doesn't actually mean fat. It means robust. Think more like a powerful, tough warrior. Now that one little change completely reframes the story, doesn't it? The hero Ehud didn't just assassinate some out-of-shape ruler. No, he took down a truly formidable opponent. It's just a perfect example of how much can ride on a single tiny word in translation.
And you know, this isn't just some dusty, ancient problem. This challenge of getting the meaning just right is a constant, difficult balancing act that translators are dealing with every single day.
A perfect modern example? You've probably seen it. It's the big debate over using the singular they. As our English language evolves, Bible translators are faced with this huge challenge. How do you translate these ancient texts in a way that's faithful to the original, but also makes sense to people today?
The evidence on this is pretty clear. In spoken English, the singular they is everywhere. But our written language, well, it's lagging behind. And that creates a real dilemma for translators. They have to decide, do you stick with the old grammar rules, or do you adapt to how people actually talk? So this focus on the meaning behind the words, that brings us to our next big point. We're seeing a shift from just the letter of the law to the spirit behind it. And this plays out perfectly in the ancient practice of making oaths. The original law from the Old Testament was, well, crystal clear. It was super direct. Keep your promises. If you make a vow, you fulfill it. That's it. Simple. But the Pharisees, in their effort to follow the rules to a T, they engineered this really elaborate system of loopholes. They started arguing that if you didn't invoke God's name directly, say you swore by Jerusalem instead, then technically the oath wasn't binding. They basically created a sophisticated way to lie, a kind of legalistic gymnastics that, let's be honest, might sound a little familiar today.
Then Jesus just cuts through all of it with this incredibly radical principle. He says, look, stop looking for loopholes. Stop trying to game the system. Just be a person of rigorous honesty. Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no, period.
Now, this isn't just some abstract idea, This principle of rigorous honesty has incredibly powerful real-world implications.
To really see this in action, let's talk about Ray Kroc, the man who built the McDonald's empire into the global giant it is today. He was famous for one thing. He refused to sign contracts. Why? Because he believed that a person's word, their simple promise, should be way more binding than any legal document you could ever write up. And people trusted that principle. Get this, a bakery supplier once invested $5 million, a fortune back then, to build a brand new facility in Europe just for McDonald's.
And there was no contract, no paperwork. That entire $5 million investment was based on a simple conversation and a handshake. That is the power of a simple, honest yes.
Okay, so let's take this same principle, spirit over letter, and apply it to one of the most famous and maybe most misunderstood laws in all of history. You know the one? An eye for an eye. We hear that and we immediately think it's a command for vengeance. But its original purpose was actually the total opposite. It was a restriction designed to stop the endless cycle of violence by saying the punishment could be no more than the crime.
But again, the Pharisees kind of shifted the meaning. They took a law that was meant to limit the power of the state, and they twisted it into a personal right, using it to justify individual revenge. So then Jesus comes along and proposes this radical alternative, non-retaliation. Turn the other cheek. But this raises a huge question, right? How do we know when to apply it? When should we stand up for our rights? And when are we supposed to turn the other cheek? The key principle that unlocks this whole teaching is love. The idea is that you voluntarily give up your right to retaliate when doing so becomes a genuine act of love for the other person. And this story from the civil rights era is just incredible. There was a pastor who also happened to be a two-time Golden Gloves boxing champion. A drunk man confronted him in his church. Now, this pastor could have easily defended himself, but he chose not to. He dropped his hands and he took the beating because he knew that in that moment, for his community, non-retaliation was the most powerful act of love and leadership he could possibly offer.
All of this has been building to the most challenging teaching of all. This is the absolute peak of the mountain, the culmination of this whole idea of a greater righteousness.
And it's this: love your enemies. But this isn't some vague, fuzzy feeling. No, it's a set of concrete, really difficult actions. It means you actively do good to people who hate you. You speak blessings to those who curse you, and you pray for the people who abuse you.
And that leaves us with this one final, seemingly impossible command: be perfect. I mean, what do you even do with that? How could anyone possibly be perfect?
But here's the crucial insight. Perfection here doesn't mean being flawless or never making a mistake. The original word points to something different: being whole, mature, complete. So it's not an impossible standard we're meant to fail at. It's a direction we're supposed to face. It's a lifelong journey we commit to, a process of becoming the complete people we were always intended to be. And maybe, just maybe, the commitment to that journey is the whole point.